in order to get the animation from Mulcore onto the instances, we need to actually load in the action we recently exported. If I open up the browser into the Actions folder, I've got the 20 frame Mulcore with Spear action, which I'll drag and drop onto the character. There we go. I'll just actually select a part of the rig and hit Alt-0 to make sure that the action has been added. It has been added, but it's been added at frame 40. So I'll actually just take that preset and I'll drag it to start at frame 1. I don't even necessarily want to deal with an animation mixer clip. I could deal with function curves as well. This might be easier just for now to deal with the actual mixer clip. So the rest of this comes down to actually using a final node in the animation in the ice tree. So if I grab my point cloud and open up the Explorer, the Ice Tree Explorer, I'll open up the Show Hide Preset Manager, and the last node we're going to use is found under Geometry Instancing. With the Geometry Instancing with Geometry Instancing tools open, we're going to pull in the Control Displacement Animation compound. And this is the compound that allows us to take into account the distance our character covers in its animation cycle, in our case, which is 20 frames. And if you remember, our distance covered was 45.2. This needs to be plugged in as an ice effect in one of the terminal ports of the ice tree. So I'll actually just take the displacement animation and just execute it somewhere up in the graph above the simulate particles. And if I double click on the control instance displacement animation, the distance covered, if we remember, is 45.2, and our start and end frame is 0 and 20, or 1 and 20 in our case. So now when I play, you can get the actual animation of the characters working out pretty nicely. Now everything's just playing a little bit slowly here. It's because I do have a lot of characters, and they are, of course, slowing my scene down quite a bit. If I open up the ice tree one more time, I might be able to reorder the displacement animation node in the graph so it evaluates a little sooner. So I think what I'll do is, if we were to actually unhook the neighboring particles force, you can see the animation plays a little faster, but not substantially. So I'm actually going to hook it back in. I'm going to take the displacement animation and replace it. I'm actually going to look at a little bit higher up in my graph. After I've set the particle velocity. And I'm just going to try a couple of things here. I'm going to take out the position and the orientation. Actually, I'll leave the position in. And I'm not actually entirely convinced that the animation on the mixer is working as well as it could. So I'm actually going to try one more thing here to see if I can get this animation to speed up a little bit. I'm going to select my model. I'm going to delete the animation clip from the character. And instead I'm going to rely on function curves. If I open up the mixer, there's my 20 frame preset. I'll apply it as a series of function curves. So if I actually select my character now, I'll just select the character and jump into an object view so I can grab everything relatively easily. Oops, lock that down. Now if I grab everything, minus the model, which I'm going to hide, I just want to be sure that my keyframes are all sitting at the right time. If I open up a curve editor and a slightly larger dope sheet, I'll be able to get a sense of what's going on here. So it looks like I've got a few extra keys later on in my timeline, and that could very well be a problem. So I'll actually just select that key there, and I'll delete it. Delete keys. So already that should help things out a little bit more. Another real test, of course, would be to actually render out our animation and see how it's working. So I'll just close down some windows and we'll revisit our animation here.